I like this song. Now I need to hear all of it, and I'm going to make it every moment of every day.
Hi, welcome to the guest list with Patrick Hicks. I am joined by Jacob Givens, content creator extraordinaire. What do you have like a catchy title? Like 90s music
People
guy?
often People have assigned me one, but I think it's confusing because they say he's known as that music reaction guy. But I think that infers that I'm doing the modern reaction, like
Oh,
those
like
videos where
people who
people are
pretend
hearing
they've
it
never heard
now.
huge hits. Yeah,
Right.
I hate those videos.
Yes. Yeah. So I've seen it described as that. I've even seen comment threads where people be like, "Oh, I don't like it when somebody is listening to a song for the first time and the person will have to describe to them like, "Oh no, that's not what his videos are. He's
Right.
it's like a dramatic reenactment from 30 years ago."
Yeah. It's a little hard to like explain, but then when you watch it, you get it immediately, like within the
Right.
first couple seconds. And then if you're like me, you're hooked. And we should say I brought this up a lot on a lot of different podcasts, but Jacob is probably the reason, other than my wife, that I am doing what I do. Because when my wife challenged me to do something creative, and I said I'm going to make a TikTok channel, she said, "Like what?" And I was like, "You know that guy Jacob Givens? Is like he does music stuff. I could do music stuff. He's about
Yeah.
my age." And
Yes.
so you were kind of the inspiration that it was possible. So we have you all to
That's
thank.
so cool. That's so cool, and I love that you shared that with me when we first met. And it's been so cool to see a creator like you just completely blow up and really gain such a massive audience and following, and well deserved. Your knowledge is so impressive and so beyond my scope. I have such a limited window that I really feel like I have expertise in, and you really span decades.
Well, I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I think if it came down to like 90s alternative trivia, you would smoke me.
If they had just a show that was dedicated to that only, I think I would win. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this playlist a little bit. So you
I
are from Oklahoma,
yes, Tulsa.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
What is a song that reminds you of your childhood in Tulsa?
It's going to be Willie Nelson Stardust. The album and that song in particular. Um, Being from Tulsa, I think people would be like, "Oh, well, that makes sense." But it really has to do with my parents and specifically my mom.
Mhm.
She she loves Willie Nelson, and she loved that album so much when I was a kid. And she would put it on the turntable, so it was the scratchy vinyl spinning in the house, and just those opening guitar plucks that he does. If I hear that intro to that album, I'm immediately taken back to childhood. I am ratatouilleed. I'm literally like, in the past. And it really takes me back. And my brother and I used to kind of mock his voice when we were children. We kind of, didn't appreciate Willie, and we would make fun of his nasal tone when we were children. My brother and I would sit there and be like, "Of all the girls I loved before," we'd do that to my mom. But now I adore him. He brings back such a special place in my heart and reminds me of my childhood, and in such a specific way that now I find his voice very comforting, and that is the song and the album.
Yeah. Were your parents from Oklahoma?
Yeah, generations of being in Oklahoma and Texas and being in that part of the world. My mother, I think, before Oklahoma, her parents were like West Texas, which is really boring Texas. And I mean, all of it's pretty boring down there. Sorry, Tulsa. Sorry, Oklahoma. Pretty boring. Hence my love of music. But yeah, we'd been in Oklahoma for quite a long time, and so me and my brother, and we were kind of like, you look at the family tree, we were the ones to get out and kind of change the legacy of the
Yeah.
Givens family name.
So you think the boringness of Oklahoma led to the music obsession?
Absolutely. Both the boringness and the football. So both kind of the sports mentality, the machismo, over masculine male, and the kind of the not a super active way of living in Oklahoma can be very suburban, very quiet, very simple. And so clinging to music was a big deal. And then also not being an athlete, not being strong, not being tough, being theatrical, talking with my hands a lot. I just kind of felt very alienated
Yeah.
growing up there. I felt like a super emotional kid who didn't belong.
Hmm.
And music allowed me to feel those emotions privately away from everybody else. Because when I was with other guys, I was like, are you guys not all like in your heads with a million voices talking to you all the time? And everybody around me was kind of like, no.
Was there a first band that kind of you got obsessed with, or was it just all the great music coming out in the 90s? Or was there one
Uh,
entry?
the entry point for really becoming obsessed with an artist has to be the Beach Boys. I Get Around. I went and saw Flight of the Navigator in the
Oh,
theater, and
love
there's a
that movie.
scene. Yeah, it's a great film that Paul Rubens voicing the robot. But I mean, such a sleek, like the design. This is years before Terminator 2 with the liquid metal, but they created that silvery dome and that he's cruising around in, and as somebody who was reading comic books of like the Silver Surfer, I loved that. And then the sequence of that music, he just got so into racing around in this spaceship to that song, and it really captured me. So I went out and I bought, it was the Beach Boys greatest hits cassette that's the blue background where they're in the striped shirts, which is famously given credit for being Rivers Cuomo's inspiration for the cover of the Blue album. But I bought that kind of collection of great songs, and I would say I was pretty obsessed with all that music, and that's where my when you're in, you're all in. We're those kind of people. Not everybody's like that. People hear a song on the radio and they enjoy it. This is the beginning of that. I like this song, now I need to hear all of it, and I'm going to make it every moment of every day.
Hmm. All right, so you got in early because I feel like
Yeah.
I was exposed to stuff like the Beach Boys and oldies pretty early on, and I liked it, but it was not until like Nirvana hit that I really became obsessed. So what
Yeah.
happened when you first heard like the Pumpkins and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and stuff? You were already a music.
Yes. Yeah, so from the Beach Boys, which that's probably like third, fourth grade, and then it's right around fifth grade that I start falling in love with you know, Guns and Roses and the hair metal, the Poisons, the Warrants, I'm really into that hair band rock. It really captured me. And we're getting into early 90s, and then that's where an older cousin shows me Metallica, and I get introduced to Megadeth, and I start going more and more heavy metal, and that's kind of my trajectory. And then, like so many of us, we talked about this with Allison Hagendorf. I'm watching MTV late, and the Smells Like Teen Spirit video premieres. And it was just like a complete flip of the switch. Not that I no longer liked Motley Crue and the hair bands and all that. I still liked it, but something was being awakened in the kind of sound that I was hearing, the screaming in that way, the angst, the going from quiet loud, which is so synonymous with the 90s. But that was the flip of the switch,
Mhm.
hearing Smells Like Teen Spirit. And then for the Pumpkins, it was when Siamese Dream releases, the debut of Cherub Rock. I see that video, and I, there was something sonically about the sound of that distortion, the big muff. I always would describe it like caramel pouring out of the speakers, and Billy's trebly vocals like cuts right through the center of that. And I don't know, you never know why a band becomes your favorite band. It's just sonically it checks all the boxes, and the Pumpkins did.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the Today video was the first thing I ever saw of the Pumpkins, but pretty much instantaneously from that video, I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, I am in
Right.
love with this band.
Yeah.
And yeah, his vocals are a big part of it. Is like I've never heard anything like this. Like,
Yeah.
it was amazing. Would you say the Pumpkins are your favorite band? Can you pick a favorite band?
Yes. Yes. I will say, still to this day, obviously other bands have come into the picture that have a huge impact on my life. But if I had to hang my hat on anything, I've got to say that the Smashing Pumpkins are, from beginning to end, the greatest band in my life, the one that, I'll buy just about anything and see them any chance I can get. So yeah, I would say that's the number one.
All right, getting back to the playlist, what is a song from a concert experience that stands out to you?
There were a lot that I thought of when this came up over the years, but the most recent one that is has to take the lead is I have a 16-year-old son, and up until this point, most of the music he's enjoyed has been YouTube artists or things that were not quite in the same genres or interests of mine. Now, of course, as a dad, anything he shows me, I'd be like, great, I love this. I love seeing your passion and your interest. I wasn't just like, I wasn't like being an elitist to my son, like, this sucks. No, it's just he would show me these things that he was into. And
Mhm.
it wasn't until I turned him on to Explosions in the Sky, The Earth is Not a Cold, Dead Place, he really took to that album. First Breath After Coma, that the cinematic quality. My son really likes things that are cinematic, and he loves video games and gaming music. And so there was
Mhm.
something about that artist that really captured his heart. And so our Venn diagram was like we finally had that overlap. And
Yeah.
so just last year, Explosions in the Sky came through LA at the Wiltern Theater, and I took him, and it was our first live music show together. And just seeing that band for me for the first time. I had never seen them live. And then seeing my son experience live music and that shake in his chest of just the sheer volume of that band in general, but just live music, and watching his face and see him kind of go like, I can't believe this is what the experience is. That goes down in history as one of the most memorable concert experiences for sure.
All right, what is a song you associate with a specific activity?
This was fun. By the way, I just got to, I love the list of questions for this show. This is such a great idea. It's such a good way of kind of going down and covering all these aspects of somebody's life. I loved reading through.
Oh, thanks so much. I got to give a
Yeah.
shout out to my wife. My wife,
Yeah.
who's the co-creator of the show. We worked on these questions for like a long time, and there were alternates, and there were ones we fought over, and we were like, "Is this too simple?" And so we really
Yeah.
like worked on these 10. But thank you, I appreciate that
Yeah.
because
They're really
we did
great.
think
So
about them hard.
congrats to you and your wife on coming up with such a great list of questions because it is really good. As you're reading through, it takes you all the way through. But to your question, you said about a certain activity. I I had to choose this one because it was when you talked about childhood songs, and I chose Willie Nelson. It was between Willie Nelson or this piece of music as a very important nostalgic memory. When I was young, my mother would have me clean the kitchen floor with a rag, and the only way I could do it was if I put on Rhapsody in Blue by Gershwin.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's a half-hour song, and I would put that on the turntable, and then I knew that once the song was over, the floor would be done. And so I would go on my hands and knees with a rag and spray and go and clean the floor all the way around. And it was about a half-hour process to get the whole kitchen floor. And so the routine was put on Rhapsody in Blue, and that's the job. And so that's one of my favorite pieces of, classical jazz music. Um, I think it's incredible, but most people when they hear that song, they think of like Delta. I think it is, or United, whoever had it. But for me, it is cleaning my kitchen floor when I was a kid. That will always make me think of cleaning a kitchen floor.
So funny. I love that song. I think of the opening of Manhattan, the Woody Allen movie,
Yes.
that is
Yes.
kind of unwatchably problematic now. But when I was a
Yeah.
teenager, I watched that movie a lot, and I loved. That's how I got into Gershwin and that kind of stuff. So that's a great one.
What's funny is my mother is a was a diehard Woody Allen fan, so the version of um, Rhapsody in Blue was the Manhattan soundtrack.
Yeah, I
So
have that
the
on
the
vinyl still. Yeah.
yeah. So I still have the version that she had. It's so beat up, but you'd pull it out of the records and it said Manhattan on the front. And as being as young as I was, I didn't really know that Rhapsody in Blue and it had been associated with this film. But it's funny that you said that because I was like, that's the exact LP that it was. It was the Manhattan one.
All right. What is a song that gets you emotional?
Um, okay, I wrote all these. Man, if there's one thing you should know about me, I'm about as emotional as they get. It doesn't take much for a song to make me cry.
Really?
Um, no, there's just, and it's not even necessarily the lyrical content. Sometimes it's just the swell.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have a joke amongst my guy friends that I'm the incredible sulk, and the my secret is that I'm always sad. So that's my joke because I'm a happy-go-lucky, smiley guy, but I'm always kind of holding on to tears at all time. Like I can cry on cue because they're always right there. So when I hear a really potent, powerful song, it doesn't take much. But I have two that are definites, but I can just do one if we like to keep it simple.
Sure. But you can
Um,
say
the
both.
okay, one is a band called Elliot, and they have a song called "Shallow Like Your Breath," and it's just this part that comes in at the end where it just builds to a crescendo. And when I used to do TikTok lives all the time, I would, when we were more locked down and I didn't have anywhere to go, I would at the end of the night be 6, 7 whiskeys in, and I'd be sitting there at like 1 in the morning with the remaining 10 people, and I'd be like, "Do you guys want to hear a song that'll just make you weep?" And I'd put it on, and I'd be on TikTok lives just with like tears streaming down my face, and so
Oh
that's
man.
definitely one. And then the other one is a famous last words by My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
When it kicks in at the end and there's like 5 different layers of his voice. I am not afraid to keep on living. That whole sequence, and he's like, does the high note every time I hear that, it's just like tears streaming down my face. So those are the big two that came to mind when I thought of him.
What is a song that you associate with a milestone in your life?
Um, this one, this has to do with and it's not even necessarily, it's a great song, but I was just reminded of it recently. Uh, Coldplay's Viva La Vida
Hmm.
was when my wife was pregnant with our first son. Now I have 2 boys and I love them both. I apologize that it sounds like I'm favoring my oldest to my youngest, but my youngest is still 10, and a lot of the soon to be musical memories and passions are have yet to truly be discovered. But my oldest son, when my wife was pregnant, Viva La Vida would play in the car, on the radio, or whatever, and he would kick her stomach to the thumping beat of that song.
Oh,
And it
that's amazing.
yeah, and so whenever it dun 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 dun, whenever that would happen, he would kick, and it happened more than once. The song would come on, and he would kick as if he was kicking in rhythm to the song. And it was such a powerful moment of becoming a dad. And just recently, I was standing in a store with Ewan, my oldest, and it started playing overhead. And he was like, "Hey, Viva La Vida," like that. And he didn't even, I think maybe we've told him a million times, but
Right.
immediately I was like, this is the song that makes me think of him being in my wife's stomach. And to look at him now, he's 6 feet tall. He's 16. He's a grown man with a deep voice who shaves his face. And so Viva La Vida, Coldplay will always be that milestone of fatherhood.
That's insane for a couple reasons. I mean, one, I'm also a father, and I can only imagine like my oldest is 6, and I'm like, you're old, like you're grown up already. It's freaking me out.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Also, I think of the Viva La Vida as like a newer Coldplay song. I do not think of it as a
Totally, totally,
16-year-old
because
song.
yeah, it's not that I mean, yeah, to your point, it's older than it's from a while ago, and yet it's more of a modern Coldplay because they go as far back as, the early 2000s, Rush of Blood and
Right. Yeah.
Parachutes, and
Parachutes
yeah,
is what I think of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But oh, that's such a great answer.
Well, thank you.
All right. What is a song with some of your favorite lyrics?
For me, it's going to be "Lover, You Should Have Come Over" by Jeff Buckley. I'm famously known for not hearing lyrics. I talk about it all the time on my show and in my videos that often led just by the mood and the feeling of a song, and I'll be clueless on what exact lyrics are for years. But "Lover, You Should Have Come Over," there's just such specific phrases in that, and I made sure to bring them with me when he gets into the It's Never Over, My Kingdom for a Kiss Upon Her Shoulder. It's never all my blood for the sweetness of her laughter. She is the tear that hangs inside my soul forever. Those phrases that he does are just there's something so special about them. That's my favorite Jeff Buckley song of all time. But the way that he's singing them are so aching. He's just yearning so much that that was an easy choice.
What do you think is a song that people would be surprised to find out you love?
I have fun with this because what's often referred to as a guilty pleasure. I grew up loving Neil Diamond, and my mom also played a lot of ABBA Gold on road trips. So those artists, I think people would probably be surprised to know that like the jazz singer by Neil Diamond was in every family road trip. So when I hear Coming to America, a lot of those songs or his I Am I Said, I love Neil Diamond. When they made that film, I think it was in the 90s, Saving Silverman.
Oh yeah,
Um,
where they
with,
don't they like kidnap Neil Diamond,
yes,
or they
that was like
kidnapped his girlfriend or something.
the movie it's Jason Biggs and I think it's
Jack Black.
Jack Black and Steve Zahn, and
Yeah,
they're just
yeah.
a group of friends, and he falls in love with this girl that's really bad for him, and then they end up going and kidnapping the real Neil Diamond, and that movie felt like it was made for me because it was like these young guys that are in a rock band, but they love Neil Diamond, and I was like, I love Neil Diamond. So,
I love that movie. I was so all in on Jack Black after High Fidelity, so I was like, I will see any movie that this guy's in. And I thought Saving Silverman was so funny, and I think it was
so
like
it was a
not very
bomb.
well reviewed, like not a movie anybody was talking about. So I'm glad to hear that you liked
Mm-mm.
that movie because I did too. I haven't seen it in a while, but
I probably haven't seen it in 20 years, but yeah, I was all in on Jack Black. He was somebody who kept popping up in things. I feel like the first time I saw him was Cable Guy with Jim Carrey. It's just a
oh
very
right,
small part in that,
yeah.
but I feel like he turned it up in some sketches along the way. I don't know if it was Ben Stiller's show or something. He kept kind of turning up, and I was like, this guy's really funny. And then it was around the High Fidelity era that I was like, oh, I love this guy. And then ABBA, I think it's known noticeably. I mean, known to be so cheesy, um, but some of those harmonies are so great.
Yeah, they got some good
I
songs.
yeah, made some catchy songs, very talented. Not only Mamma Mia, but I was a musical theater kid, and the guys from ABBA wrote the musical Chess. And that's
Hmm.
one of my favorite musicals of all time. This is totally musical theater nerd coming out right now.
Yeah, I do not know chess, so I gotta look that up.
Well, I was really being a musical theater kid. I was in a lot of plays and musicals growing up, and there was a chapter where I had an entire case logic full of just musical theater. And while I still will hear some of those pieces of music, it reminds me of that time that didn't carry on into my adult life. Like I'm not driving around in my car listening to Rodgers and Hammerstein or Sondheim anymore. But I did back then.
Yeah. All right, what is a song that you love that somebody else introduced you to?
Oh, Radical Face. Radical Face is kind of folky, whispery, sleepy. The artist's real name is I had to look it up because it didn't. His real name is Ben Cooper, and um, I have a best friend from childhood who I've known since I was 2 months old. He lives on the other side of the country, and his name is Kevin Wheatley. And Kevin and I, growing up in Tulsa, we had very different music tastes. So as I was getting into grunge and alternative and not just the Pumpkins, but that whole era of music, he was obsessed with They Might Be Giants. He
Okay.
loved They Might Be Giants. Now, I can hear a They Might Be Giants song now and it can be nostalgic for me, but that really rubbed me the wrong way as a teenager. I didn't get it. I didn't enjoy it. I found it to be dorky. And that's look, there's a lot of people who love that band and they are very intelligent, very clever songwriters. It just spoke to a kind of listener that just wasn't me at the time.
Right.
And so we famously had this ongoing debate where he would try to show me They Might Be Giants and I would try to show him Pumpkins and it would never, ne'er the twain shall meet. Um, but then about had to have been 10 years ago now, I remember he told me about this artist, Radical Face. and I put on the album. And that's just one of those artists that I don't think I would have found on my own. It had to be recommended to me because it's very, very soft and folky
Mhm.
and in its own way. I mean, when those artists come by and people go like, "Oh, interesting, you like this?" And it's because it was brought to me by Kevin. So what I wanted to give the backstory because we famously didn't see eye to eye on music as children. And so for him to bring me something, tell me about Radical Face, my instant thought was like, well, I probably won't like it, but then I listened to it and I was like, oh, I love this. And then his favorite artist now today is Manchester Orchestra, and they're one of my favorites as well. So we do have a lot of overlap now.
Got some crossover, yeah. All right, what is a song that you introduced somebody else to that you love?
I Man, that's tough because I love discovering bands and sitting people down and being like, "You got to hear this."
Yeah, it's the
One of
best.
my Yeah, one of my favorite new ones to share with people is this band Sohm, SOM. It's very, very heavy, dense, low riffs, but ethereal like vocals, similar to Deftones.
Hmm.
But I really love. They just put out a new album, and I've just enjoyed kind of spreading the word on that band to people. But there's so many songs that the greatest joy. I literally have a playlist that I make where when I like a song, I like it, I add it so that I know, okay, I want to share this with somebody because I'm just now discovering it. Like Nation of Language is a band that I'm just now listening to that I love sharing with people. Very 80s synth sounding. So many.
Yeah. Do you have like specific people in mind? Like when you hear something, do you think like, oh, I know who would love this? Or is it
Yes.
just in general,
Yes.
like I want to spread the gospel?
Yeah, and I should probably do that to you more often since we have each other's text messages. I think that maybe just because I don't see you very often, you would be somebody that I should start sending things to. But I
Oh
have my
yeah, please.
stable, yeah,
Yeah.
I have my stable of music fanatics, and none of them live in this city with me. That's
Oh
the
no.
interesting thing. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of I have close friends that I spend time with, but my obsessives, my brother, other side of the country, my old college roommate over at Chicago, my cousin, he's, out in kind of Palm Desert area. Those guys are like the kind of guys that you hear a song, you have to share it with them because they get as just completely into it and as obsessed as I do. And we
Yeah.
talk that same language. Not everybody talks that way. You can send a song to somebody over text and they'll just go cool, and then and then you can have people that you send the song to and then come back to you a day later and they're like, I listened to everything they put out, and I really, this is, and they just experience it differently.
My like best musical friend, this guy, like we were in bands together and like we shared every song, like every time we heard a new song, we would share with each other. His name's Jeff and he lives in LA. And but then now I live in Chicago and he still lives there. So it's like we didn't share as much. And we used to literally like just like trade iPods and like download to each other's computer like all the stuff we were listening to.
Yeah.
And so now he will post like his favorite albums of the year, or like whatever. He'll just post on Instagram. I never know a single artist. I was like, this guy evolved so far beyond what I'm listening to. He's listening to like, I don't even know, like weird South American jazz fusion electronica. And I'm like, I've never heard of any of these artists.
That's great.
But it's like, if we had stayed closer in proximity, we would have been on the same page. But I was like, I don't know any of this stuff now.
I love that your guy is in LA, Jeff's in LA, and my buddy Jarrett's in Chicago. So like I have, well, I'll have to go hang out with Jeff, and I'll have to send you to go hang out with Jarrett. We'll just gain each other's friends that are music
Yeah.
obsessives.
Oh, yeah. It's perfect.
Um,
We'll do a swap.
yeah.
All right. What is the most recent song that you've fallen in love with?
It is going to be LS Dunes, Forgiveness.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been at the start of every year, I start kind of compiling my best of the year. I just drag them into a folder and go, and what I try to do is as I'm listening to an album and it really touches me, I'll put it in that folder, and then over time I'll just kind of continually play through them and see them kind of rise or fall in priority as to what I enjoy. And I have at multiple gatherings of friends sat down with Ella Students Forgiveness and put that on, and it's one of those emotional crescendo songs. Kind of reminds me of what we talked about earlier with Famous Last Words from My Chemical Romance. And I think his voice is just incredible. It's so the high, like his singing voice is feminine, and it's remarkable when you hear it. It just sounds like a woman's voice, and I mean that in a compliment. It's just holy shit, you know?
Yeah. All right. Do you have time for a bonus track?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I've all the time in the world. I've set aside my entire day for you, Patrick.
I appreciate it. Okay, let's say you're sitting down to make a Jacob Givens video. You're making this is what it was like to hear this artist for the first time. What's
Okay.
one that you have always wanted to do, but like you haven't found the right way to do it?
That is a great question. I wish I could do something for the and
Hmm.
the album Dusk. I've talked about the importance of that early on. Back in 2021, I made a video about the importance of that album for me. Um, Love is Stronger Than Death. This is the Night. That album, there are so many amazing songs on it, but it's not an album that I can really illustrate the feeling of hearing it for the first time in the right way. I don't know how to do it. So that is definitely the first one comes to mind, but there's been many along the way that I've gone, okay, how do I like even Beck's Loser,
Hmm.
I have wanted to do because that's the first piece of music by Beck, which I mean, obviously he goes on to do a million other things better than that song. But that being the video on MTV, this Slacker that I thought was pretty cool. I was like, how do I show that? How do I show that song and what it felt like to hear it for the first time? So those come up to me all the time because it's once you've done the leaf blower in the face for Mayonnaise, and you've done, being blown up by hum stars, when you've done these big set pieces to show how a song affects you, I'm trying not to repeat myself.
Right.
Levitating,
Yeah.
getting blown up, hair and face, lights flashing, whatever it is, I'm trying not to make the bit where it's like, well, not every song blows your hair back, Jacob, like it has to be something else. So but anyway, those are some of the one or two that come to mind.
Yeah. A loser would be such a great one. I mean, it's such an important one for our
It's so
generation.
important.
Yeah, it's almost like,
Hugely
hey,
important.
how would you capture it? Like this feels like it's sums up our entire generation. Like, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
tough to
Yeah,
make into a
it's
funny little video.
the thing about that song, right? It's like this slide acoustic guitar. It's messy. It sounds a little rough around the edges, and I think that
Mhm.
the Slacker Nation, the Slacker feeling behind that song is really hard to convey because the videos that I share with people are an emotional response like oh holy shit. Well, that has a holy shit, but in a not in a body response way, like a really subdued way. So how do you do that?
Jacob, this was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. What do you have to promote right now?
Um, Nothing in particular. Waterproof Records is still going my podcast, so your
Mhm.
listeners come over my way as well. I've been slow on creating much content. I spent some time vacationing with my family to Scotland, and I'm sure you've dealt with this before, where you kind of go, do I need to worry about making videos right now, or do I just need to live my life a little bit? And so I kind of did that. I kind of just stopped for a minute and didn't worry about putting stuff together,
Yeah,
so it's been
you had
nice.
some great Instagram stories though that I saw. I was
Yeah,
jealous.
yeah, and those feel easy to do, right? It's like you record the video, you post it on your stories, and then you just move on instead of trying to edit, put something together and put it on your reels, put it on TikTok, which I will be doing, of course. It's going to return, but it felt nice to just step away and not feel like I had to document and edit together things, which I will now do. Now that I'm home, I will do it again. But besides the podcast, I'm moving, so this studio is going away and my space is going away. So I'm going to be a little bit in flux for a little while, but keep supporting my show if you can. That would be great. And that's all I got.
All right, thanks, man.
Dude, thank you so much, Patrick. I had an absolute blast. This has been
No
rad.
worries. You've heard the stories, now hear the songs. Go to wherever you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, and you can listen to today's guest's personalized playlist if you search for The Guest List with Patrick Hicks.